announcement about the real health benefits and risks of sodium. My name is Dr. Brooke Goldner. I want to talk to you about the truth about salt. You've probably heard bad for you, right? That's usually what you hear. But the truth is salt is a necessary electrolyte, but you have to use it the right way and not get too much or too little in your body. The problem I've been seeing that I never saw 15, 20 years ago, people are now getting the symptoms of too little salt, and that can be life-threatening. So let's get down to the real science of salt. So there is a recommended daily allowance of salt that your body actually needs. The US Dietary Guideline says about 2,300 milligrams a day, or between 500 and 2,300 necessary for your body to function properly. Most people get over 3,000, maybe closer to 4,000 milligrams or more. Now, if you have too much sodium in your diet, one of the things that they're worried about, the reason that this is warned about, is that it can make your blood pressure go up, and higher blood pressure increases your risk of heart attack and stroke. But the salt is not the cause of the problem. The problem is your arteries are hard from eating saturated fats that are clogging up and hardening your blood vessels. So when sodium does its job of bringing more water into your body, then those hardened arteries have increased pressure, and that's what shows up in the blood pressure cuff. Now, if you have less salt, you have less blood volume, and the blood pressure comes down, and now you're less hydrated as well. So you have to solve the actual cause of the blood pressure, which is your diet and the intake of especially animal fats that are bad for you. So salt can let you know there's an issue, but it's not the cause of the blood pressure all by itself. Now let's talk about what salt actually does. So it's necessary for many different things in your body. One, you actually need it for your fluid balance. So sodium brings water into the body. You're going to need water in your different tissues and cells, and you also need water as the main ingredient of your blood supply as well. So when sodium levels go up, then your body will hold on to more water, and that keeps the sodium the right concentration in the bloodstream and also brings in that hydration. If your sodium levels are low, you're going to hold on to less water, and that will actually create something like dehydration. So what else can happen? Well, if you ever had it happen where you stood up and you felt kind of dizzy or woozy, most likely you were dehydrated. And so if you're not getting enough water, then you also will feel dehydrated. It can also make you dizzy. Well, sodium gives you the signal to drink more water, and that then helps you have the right blood volume so that you don't get dizzy and your blood can do its job. Now, it's also necessary for cellular function. Your cells have jobs to do and they need sodium to do that. It's also necessary for muscle contraction. So people who don't get enough salt often complain of muscle cramps, like leg cramps that they get in the middle of the night. That's because sodium is a necessary ingredient for muscle contraction. It's also necessary for nerve conduction as well. So all of these different things and more all require sodium, which you must consume in order for those functions to happen. Now, you also need water for cellular metabolism, cellular function, for blood volume, for good blood pressure, and all the things you need, like normal bowel movements and all of the other cell functions that water is necessary for. So oftentimes, when people want to get healthy, they'll start drinking more water. And most of the time, that's great because people are typically oversalted, especially in Western countries. We're oversalted and dehydrated. So when they add more water, they just feel good. Here's the problem I've been running into is that nowadays, because of influencers and also physicians themselves saying salt is bad, there are folks who are trying to completely eliminate salt from their diet. And on top of that, they're hearing from myself and other people that water is good. And so they're dramatically increasing their water intake and eliminating sodium. That is extremely dangerous because if you quickly increase your water intake and you don't have enough sodium, if you drink it so quickly that your kidneys don't have time to get rid of the extra water and keep your blood sodium where it needs to be, you can go unconscious. You can have a seizure. It could even lead to coma and death if your blood sodium levels get too low. Now, that wouldn't normally happen to a person who's healthy because if you have water and then you go to drink some more and you're like, kind of feel a little nauseated, don't really want it. That's your body telling you, nope, we need a little time to get rid of the extra water, right? But if you're chugging water down really quickly and you don't have enough salt, you can momentarily drop that blood sodium level and that can make you feel dizzy. It can make you feel nauseous. It can make you throw up and have diarrhea. So again, it is a balancing act. You need both sodium and water intake to get the correct level of the electrolyte and your water as well. Now, there are some people who get hyponatremia or low blood sodium level that is because of either heart failure or kidney failure. Those folks need to restrict water and sodium in order for their body to work correctly. But if you don't have problems like that, then you can actually increase your water intake in a healthy, safe way, as long as you get that teaspoon of salt a day. That intake that's recommended is about a teaspoon a day. So if throughout the day you have about a teaspoon of salt, you can then increase your water intake. For hypernourishment, we have 96 ounces, as long as you don't have any kind of restriction on water because of organ issues. And people tolerate it not only well, but they feel really, really good. So again, a complete lack of salt is bad, and too little water is bad. Water without salt is bad. But if you have the right amount of sodium intake, about a teaspoon a day, and you increase your water intake, you will find that you have better health. Now, if you are doing things that deplete sodium, like you're sweating, you're exercising, then you might want to actually have a bit more sodium in your diet while you are increasing your water intake. So people often find if they exercise, they're more thirsty, they drink more water, but they're also sweating out their electrolytes, and they might need 1.5 to 2 teaspoons of salt to go with that gallon of water that they decided to drink that day. So I really want to make this very clear, because I do see people who ignore this advice, or they try to combine advice. I heard salt's bad, you say water's good, I'm going to do both. And I have seen people pass out. I have seen people end up in the hospital because they're so dizzy and having diarrhea. I had one person who forgot their salt or wasn't listening about salt, who fell and she got a concussion. All right. So please don't try to combine advice from different people. That's very important. Make sure you stick to complete guidelines from one person at a time, so you know you're not accidentally creating a problem for yourself. And listen, don't go crazy on salt. Don't eat pounds of salt. But as you're increasing your water intake, as I suggest you do, make sure you're getting the water you need every day. Also remember that your body actually does need some sodium every day. If you're having lower water amounts, maybe a half teaspoon a day works for you. If you're trying to hypernourish, then make sure you're getting a teaspoon a day. And if you ever feel dizzy, lightheaded while increasing your water intake, take a break from drinking the water. You could even try having a teaspoon of salt and a little bit of water and chug it. If the symptom goes away, you know you've been forgetting your sodium. As long as you do that simple thing of making sure you get that little bit of salt every day, you should be able to not only get the water that you need to feel good, but it will raise your metabolic rate and get you feeling healthy as quickly as possible. I hope that clears it up. Please share this to anyone who is completely salt-free. Make sure that they're getting their daily allowance. We don't want anybody hitting their head or something worse because they completely took out a necessary electrolyte from their diet. This is Dr. Brooke Goldner. I hope that helps.